Okay, we've been talking about joy. We talked about how Jesus said, "These things have I spoken unto you, that my joy," and they knew Jesus to be a joyous man. I mean, folks, when you have no sin to record, none, no evil thought, nothing in you has grieved or quenched the Spirit of God, which is the presence of God, your joy is made full. And they knew Jesus to be a man who on the inside was just full of excitement, wonder, joy, love, thrill, wisdom, and understanding. And he always made the right decision. He's not like the rest of us. But that's why we call him Lord. That's why we bow and worship, honor, and exalt him. Because he did everything right. I remember my dad on his deathbed, and he was talking to one of his best friends who was also a pastor. And we all stepped back and let them have their, heart-to-heart moment together. And Dad looked at him and said, "I did it right, didn't I?" And his Dad's friend looked at him and said, "Gerald, yes, you did. You did." Our dad did. He blessed so many people. And he was such a good man. I was a bad son. I was, oh God, I have so many regrets. I wished he was here today to see some of what's happened. I brought a lot of tears into that man's eyes and mom's. But Dad, it wasn't about all his preaching and things, and he did all that, but Dad lived the love of God life. He could sit, and he did, around tables with some of the our military's greatest generals and have those officer conversations one to another. He was the head chaplain at military bases. But at the same time, you could have been a private, and Dad honored you and loved you just the same. He had that kind of heart that had no prejudice, showed no distinction between people based on money or color. He had none of that. He had the love of God in his heart, the true love of God. And it showed itself more and more in his life and in his integrity. Love would never lie to you. Dad, dear God, I remember one time he paid one of his credit card bills during the Christmas season, like he always did in those days, mailed it off. This was before, great technology had come in on the scene and you paid it online. And yet somehow that one particular payment got to the credit card people late, a couple of days behind due date or something. And he got a notice from them that his interest on his credit card went up due to late payment. Well, that irritated Dad because, he purposed in his heart never to be late on a loan payment. Never. He had that kind of heart, folks. Dad was just that kind of person of integrity. I was so blessed to have him. I needed it. And that whoop he had too. But he called that insurance company up and he asked them why they went up on his interest rate to his credit card. And they said, "Well, sir, like the letter said, due to late payment." He said, "I wasn't late." "Well, sir, we're showing here, and it was just a couple of days late, or something." And he said, "Ma'am, look at my record with you. How many years have I had that credit card?" And she was looking at it, and he'd had it for years, I think over decades, but he had always paid before. He never was late. Well, somehow, what they figured after they analyzed his situation, his complaint went to higher people in the company. they they looked at it and they looked at his record and they called my dad back. I mean, like the top brass, and said, "Mr. Smith, Chaplain Smith, Reverend Smith, we would like to apologize. You are one of our best customers ever. And the only thing that we can think is what you said. Maybe during this Christmas traffic, it got delayed a little bit. So we forgive, and we set your interest rate back to where it was." And Dad said, "Thank you, but can I ask you something? Can I say something here?" And Dad told them. He said, "I appreciate that, but may I preach to you a little bit?" He said, "That's what's wrong with this country. Greed. You guys, like you have 1 million customers, and if you can just get $2 a month more of from those customers of what is actually owed, you just made $2 more million. And if you made $2 more million and you do that 12 months a year, you made $24 million more just off of $2 a customer." And that looks just wonderful in your eyes. And that greed, you just want to consume it. You got to have it. And you jump as soon as you can a chance to cause your customers to pay you more money, as if you don't have enough. And he just kind of preached to them, said, "I think you need to relook at yourselves. Relook at your situation before God, because one day you're going to stand before him." Now, my dad could preach that kind of directness of sermon. I can't, but he could. And you felt the power of that punch because Dad had a righteous soul. He was a man of his word, a man of integrity. And I think about that, and then I think about Jesus, the Lord that he served, his Savior. And I've often said to Jesus, because I was not like my dad. I was a thorn in his side when I got older. And it was awful. My dad never got to see me preach. He never got to hear one walk and talk. He never got to hear any of these messages. After he died, I even preached twice in his church. But when he was here, he never got to see me. Maybe from heaven, the Lord allowed him to see. But he was such a great reflection of the love of Christ and of the integrity of God. I used to see how Dad, I would do wrong. He would just bawl in tears. My wrong, the path I was going down would just tear at his heart. His righteous soul was vexed by what I did. And not just that, I was his son that he loved so dearly that I broke his heart, I broke Mom's heart, and that he was highly concerned about. Dad was tender. He was a tender soul till the day he died. Friends, I said all that to preach to you and me. Let's get real here. Now, I know we're all sinful. My dad was a sinful. And what's strange is I cannot remember my dad ever sinning. I'm telling you, isn't that something? I've never known him to get upset unjustifiably. When he whipped us, he would always tell us, "Here's what you did wrong," and he'd start crying, "But I've got to teach you," and he'd whip us. He had that genuineness of faith, of hope, and of love. Are we really walking in the love of God? As Christians, that is so important. Like Jesus, he didn't feel like walking in love all the time. More to come.